Happy Tuesday, everybody. It's your boy Al. It is the big debate night, Trump versus Kamala Harris. Um, this could be very interesting. Let's see what happens tonight. Very important that both um, individuals make a great showing tonight. It's very important that they both talk about what needs to be talked about, that they both unveil, let us know a little bit what their plans are, intricate details. So we'll see what goes on tonight. I know my mother-in-law is throwing a debate party. It's kind of silly, but anyway, it is what it is. But I want to talk about this situation that's going on with the migrants, the immigrants, in particular parts of the country. There are two particular cases, three actually. We'll try to talk about at least two of them that are going on. We've got in Springfield, Ohio. There are Haitian migrants that are kind of taking over Springfield. They've been dropped off there. I don't know why. Springfield, Ohio, for those of you who know anything about Springfield, it's a small town. Its population, they've seen their population grow over 20% recently from just migrants alone. It's a small community, pretty compact. In the 80s, prior to the breaking up of the unions, it was very industrious. It had it was a very, very productive town. A lot of warehouses, a lot of industry work. That work left decades ago. So you have these immigrants, these migrants from Haiti, just kind of wandering around without really anything to do. And they're starting to make a ruckus. People are reporting there were people, before their city council in Springfield talking about it not being like home anymore. Some people even reported that their pets are missing. One lady testified that she saw her cat, on a line being prepared to be, filleted or what have you. There have been reports of Haitians just walking around through the parks, grabbing ducks, beheading them and eating them. Just not really assimilating to the ways of our culture. And I got to be honest with you. I feel bad for both parties involved. I feel bad for the people of Springfield, Ohio, because to have that happen in your town where you are used to a certain way of life and then have people just dropped in, taking up a lot of the resources, which that's also something that's happening in Springfield, Ohio. There a lot of the resources that have been set aside to take care of the underprivileged are being used by these migrants. So I feel sorry for the people of Springfield, Ohio, and I feel sorry for the Haitian migrants as well, because like I said, Springfield, Ohio is a weird town to be dropped off in. Super strange to be dropped off in a town where there's basically nothing to do. It would be different if Springfield, Ohio still had its industry flowing, still had its warehouses, and there was some place for you to, drop these guys off, or these people off, so they could, work, contribute to the industry and to the economy of Springfield. But there's nothing to do. That place has been a ghost town for decades, with it hanging on to its little population, just doing what they can to get by. And in a town like that, they get dropped off. And then on top of that, there really isn't anything that the law enforcement has been willing to do, which is a commonality that we see and has been seen throughout the nation when it comes to migrants, that the police seem to have their hands tied. And it just raises the question, who's tying their hands? Who is putting them in a position where they won't do anything? There have been people who've been calling. There were several people who testified before their city council who said that when they call the police simply don't respond. And these people were up there with tears in their eyes. And they weren't just white people. There was a social media influencer who was black, who was talking about what was going on. There were Hispanic people there who were testifying. There were white. There were people of all races, because it's not about race. It's about this being a situation that just doesn't make any sense. And then you look at what's going on in Aurora, Colorado, with Venezuelan migrant gangs just pulling a Nino Brown and the Dutta Man and G Money and taking over apartment complexes like Nino Brown in New Jack City, just taking over the Carter. Venezuelan gangs have just armed themselves with, how they arm themselves, machine guns. I don't know, but it's easy to get a gun in America. They've armed themselves with machine guns, and they've taken over apartment complexes. Landlords aren't getting rent. People are being terrorized. People are having to move out and having to flee. I mean, and you're dealing with a situation, and again, Aurora, Colorado. Like, what is that? Why are there Venezuelan migrants? And then there are people who in Aurora, they're more than just Venezuelan. I don't want to just pick on Venezuela, because they're more than just Venezuelan migrants in Aurora. There are people from Africa, there are people from Haiti, there are people from Nicaragua that are there as well. But we do know specifically that, again, the Venezuelan gangs have taken over one, we know, maybe several apartment complexes. And as it turns out, that a lot of these people who are being brought over, migrants that are coming over, are people that were just fresh out of prison where they were from. They are criminals. They are gang members. So when Trump says that, they're bringing over rapists and murderers, even though he didn't have, his heart wasn't right when he said it probably, but turns out he's right. There have been several rapes, that have been reported, several women that have been assaulted. There was, several people who talk about the fact that they're being extorted for money. There are, reports and news reports that show cameras where a woman who was fed up because, again, like in Springfield, she couldn't get any police to come out. She called the police, and they said that they couldn't send any less than 3 to 4 people out for a call like that, and they simply didn't have the manpower. So she set up cameras that showed these people marching up the stairs with machine guns, a la the Sandinistas in Nicaragua, knocking on doors, demanding this, demanding that, just, like I said, like Nino Brown in the Carter style, taking over these apartment complexes. And again, law enforcement seems to have their hands tied, and I wonder why that is. And again, for me, it doesn't make any sense that these people are being dropped off in Springfield, Ohio, Aurora, Colorado. It doesn't make any sense. And I mean, you have to put the blame squarely where it belongs, because Biden and Harris opened up the borders with the migrant apprehensions from Nicaragua, from Cuba, from Haiti, from Venezuela. And that jumped the migrant count from 17,000 in 2020 to 600,000 in 2022. And all of these people are being dispersed all over the place, in places that don't make any sense. And then you have Bill Maher, who sits down with Nancy Pelosi. And Bill Maher has been a hardcore historical leftist who's come more to the center, which is where I think everyone should be, somewhere in the center. And he asked her about all these migrants who are coming over and being able to, without ID, without social security number, without credit history, without money, without bank accounts, of being able to be approved for homes and cars and things of that nature, when you have citizens, American citizens, that can't even get these things. And he asked her straight up, does she think that's fair? And her response was telling for me. Her response was simply, when he asked her, is that fair? He simply asked her, well, we want them to be legal, and we want them to get the things that they're getting, and we want them to be legal. She did not address whether it's fair or not, whether they're getting it over people who have been here, who have struggled and strived to make a way to try and live the American dream. She did not answer and say that it's unfair, that we want to take care of Americans first. She did not even address it. And from that, my perspective, what I took from that was, she was in her way saying about those people that Bill was trying to address, she was saying about those people, they're done. We're done with them. We're concerned with these people. And when I look at people dropped off in Aurora, Colorado, and when I look at people dropped off in Springfield, Ohio, I see happening what many people believe is happening with a lot of the left. That they are simply saying about those of us who have been historically to the left, that they've depended on for voting and to win elections and seats, that they are casting us out and they are bringing in a new citizenship, or soon to be citizenship, to replace us, because in their minds, they're saying, we're done with you all. And we're done with you all because historically we have used your desperation to keep you voting Democrat. We have used your starvation, your poverty, your hunger to keep you voting Democrat. We did it with welfare. We've done it with several things to keep you voting Democrat. And what they're saying to me is, we need a new desperate class who's more desperate than you all who have been voting Democrat your entire lives. Because now you want too much. Now you want too much. And most black people's core values line up more with the right than they do the left. And a lot of black people now are over welfare and are over all of these little gimmicks and schemes and things that Democrats have used over the years to keep black people attached to their party. And for me, what I hear Nancy Pelosi say is, we're done with those people. Get them out of here. Who cares if they can't get housing? Who cares if they can't get what they need? Who cares if they can't qualify for home? We're trying to get these folks in here and coddle them because they're our new support system. We need to hurry up and get them legal so they can start voting and keep us in power, because we can't depend on these folk to do it anymore, so they're out. And for me, it's telling what they really, really think about you. And I'm not putting it all on the Democrats, don't get me wrong, because there are a lot of corporations that are at play in this as well. Because we know the right wing sides with a lot of corporations, and a lot of corporations depend on these migrants for cheap labor, have for years. And so we have that side of the fence. So for me tonight, this is one of the things that I need to see addressed from both sides. I need to hear this addressed from Trump and Harris, what they're planning to do about this. Are they really just casting us aside? Are they really just casting, is the left really just casting us aside for this new class of voter they're trying to hurry up and get in here, give them everything for free so they can get their vote? Is the right just allowing them to come and camp out in places just so they can have cheap labor for the corporations that is filling their pockets? What's going on here? I do know that this uptick has happened under the Biden-Harris administration. So while both sides have some explaining to do, they really have some explaining to do. And I think that people, you really need to think about this thing. Because if you find yourself like the young lady, it was a young lady who gave her testimony of all she had to work through, a sister, all she had to work through to get her food truck, how she had to struggle and strive and get her own money because she couldn't get a loan to get a food truck, and how after getting this food truck and really going through what she went through to get this food truck, how she walked up and when she was ready to sell her food truck, how it turns out that it was a migrant, not legal, no cash flow, no credit, no capital, who was able to secure a loan from a bank to buy her food truck from her. And when she started reflecting on all it took for her to be able to afford her food truck, and when what this man was just able to just come over here, walk over here and just get, with all of her history here in this country, all that she's put in to this country, and this man just walks over here, gets a business loan with nothing to buy her food truck, it had her in tears. And for all the people who feel like you want to side with the migrants because you think that somehow y'all are going to team up with them and we're all going to take down the powers that be, you got another thing coming. These migrants want nothing to do with you Americans. Black, white, yellow, brown, the Hispanics who coming over here as migrants don't want nothing to do with the citizens that are Hispanic that are here. These people don't want nothing to do with you. They're not coming here to assimilate and be a part of our culture. They coming here for a takeover. When you driving down the street and all of a sudden you see flags from another country come barreling down your street, those aren't people who are looking to be with you. Those are people who are looking to take over you. So y'all better get that out of your head, because I know what a lot of you are thinking. I know what some of you are thinking. Well, as long as we get the white power structure out of control, but if you replace the white power structure with no structure at all, what's that doing? And riddle me this. And as I wrap this up, I hear people all the time say they don't want to vote for Trump because that will end America as we know it. Democracy as we know it will come to an end. But what do we think will happen with an overrunning of migrants? How do we think that will continue to allow America to be as it's been all these years? So from my perspective, you're in trouble on both ends. If you feel like Trump is going to, and by the way, people talking about all of this stuff that he's talking about, this plan that he has to overthrow and suspend the Constitution. Again, I just can't bring myself to believe that. But I do know that Americans can't live. I do know that we're in the situations where Americans are taking all the things that they worked hard for and all of the things that they work to be able to afford and to get and to be able to apply for and qualify for, and they're being turned down for people who aren't from here. And that, my friends, is a change in the way this nation works. We talked about the change that might happen, or we think, or we suspect will happen if Trump gets in office. What about the change that is actually happening to our society right now? Just food for thought. Just some thoughts as I get ready to get on my way home. Pray for us down here in Houston, because Lord, they talking about another hurricane. We can't take no more. So tell me what you think. What do you think is important to you about this debate tonight? What do you think about this migrant crisis? If you enjoy our content, don't forget to click like. Don't forget to subscribe. There'll be much more coming to you. Again, this is your boy Al. Holla back. Peace.